How's it going, everybody? Back again with some more knives. These have been a long time in the works, but finally got a couple of chef knives I finished. Been wanting to do these for a while. It was a challenging project. I actually had to learn a lot more than I thought I did about grinding a knife this wide and this thin, that wide flat grind. It's basically a full height flat grind, except kind of convex, which I'm hoping will give it an advantage when slicing vegetables, stuff like slicing potatoes. I'm hoping that the convexity will keep stuff from sticking to the blade somewhat, when it kind of suctions on there. I don't know if it will or not, but I'm kind of hoping. But in any case, that slightly convex geometry should definitely make it cut really well, down to a very, very fine edge with just the barest hint of a secondary bevel from sharpening. Both of these are hand sanded finishes on the blades. This one has a canvas micarta bolster and Padauk wood. This one actually was my favorite. I like both of these a lot. This one was my favorite as I was making them, but then once they were done, I actually really like this one, which is black paper micarta with the spacer in there, vulcanized fiber spacer, so it shows that white line around the scales, and it's also etched for a dark finish. And this one is just really cool to me. I wish I was keeping it. These are made from 15N20 steel. I believe I'm getting the name of that correct. I'm kind of doubting myself for some reason now, but 15N20 I believe is the designation of it, which is most commonly seen as the brighter steel in pattern welded Damascus. Usually 15N20 is used along with the 10 series carbon steel for that contrast when it etches. The 15N20 actually does etch, if you can see. It was kind of, I wasn't sure if it would. It was sort of an experiment for me. But generally when you see like the really high contrast finish in Damascus, it's actually etched until it eats away at the basic carbon steel until it's down below the surface, and then the top of the higher nickel steel, which is what 15N20 is then polished just across the top, showing the pattern. But it will actually etch dark if you etch it enough. A very quick subtle etch also will show a contrast in the steel without getting it that dark. But this is just straight 15N20, which makes an excellent knife on its own. I thought it was a good choice for a kitchen knife because the nickel in it gives it a little bit of extra corrosion resistance. It's not a stainless steel, but it does resist staining and corrosion a little more than a straight 10 series carbon steel, while still having the advantage of a carbon steel of being able to very easily maintain that very fine edge. All you need is a steel and a strop, and then if it eventually stops responding to that, just a little sharpening on a very fine stone will bring it back to a very sharp edge. So I've designed these myself, of course. Made sure they had a nice man-sized handle on there that you can hold on to. A lot of kitchen knives, I find the handles are pretty small. So I made these bigger, but also fairly thin, so they're still comfortable to hold on to, very comfortable in a pinch grip. And these are definitely some excellent chef knives. They're not going to be cheap. These were very, very time consuming and difficult to make. I'm going to ask $300 for this one and $350 for the dark one, which I think is very, very reasonably priced for the amount of time and effort that went into them. That wide, thin grind, as I said, was pretty challenging to do. And I went through an exorbitant amount of fresh grinding belts as I was making them. But anyway, those are available. I know it's a lot of money, but and I do hope they sell, but if they don't, it wouldn't break my heart, because this one might just find its way into my personal collection. But in any case, I will make some more of them at some point if they do sell. And I do also, pardon me 1 second, I have a couple of blades that I made up in a smaller, kind of a utility size. I actually made one of these already that's already ended up in a new home. And also, doesn't look like much with no handle on it, but I'm also made up some paring knife blades that I'll be finishing at some point. Whoops. So that's pretty much it. Give you another look at these. They will be on Etsy, but as always, will be greatly appreciated if you're interested in these. If you email me, and we keep the sale off of Etsy to avoid those fees and sales tax, which will save us both a lot of money, especially on knives that are this expensive. So I guess that's it. I'll talk to you later.